I am Alyssa Albrecht, and I am an instructional designer at the Center for Distributed Learning, which is located at the University of Central Florida. And I'm joined here by Shelly Wyatt. She is my colleague and also an instructional designer at UCF. For today's session, more than being instructional designers, the two of us are editors for the Teaching Online Pedagogical Repository, which we call TOPR. We're going to share some TOPR-tunities for you, which I wish I could say that I catchphrased and came up with that little cute name for it, but that is certainly our colleague Amy Zenoyles who came up with that little phrase that we have been utilizing. And it is just our little way of trying to ensure that everybody here is going to be able to utilize TOPR in the best way possible. So, a little bit about TOPR. It is a public resource, and it has been created so that we can share online and blended learning strategies with everyone. So it's one of those things that when you have that background education, or if you've ever taught a class before, you know that sometimes your best ideas come from your colleagues and things that they have been implementing. And then maybe you take that idea and you rework it to be able to utilize it in your own way for your own classroom. So it's the same idea here. We have faculty members and instructional designers, even some librarians who have utilized different ways to go through and take specific strategies and explain some research behind it and how it could be utilized, and really show just some takeaways. Research is great and we want to have that, and we do have that, but when you're trying to create things on the fly, when you're trying to do things really quickly, one of the things you really want is to be able to know how to quickly implement it. And that's kind of what TOPR does here, is it takes these strategies, each individual entry, and shows how it was already utilized in a course. And it showcases as well examples of how it's been utilized. And sometimes we even have additional resources there, such as rubrics or items like that, that can really help you just make this pro. That time when you're searching for a new strategy on how to implement something specific in your course or in a faculty member's course, you can just take it away right then and really utilize your time wisely. So each strategy, which is our entries, every entry is its own strategy, we said goes along through that background, gives them some artifacts to be able to take that and run with it on your own or adapt with it, and utilizes research to ensure that we are still promoting best practices. This isn't just something that one person has stated worked for them. We are making sure that it is research tried and true here. So we do have 3 different sections of our TOPR website, which is our pedagogical repository there. And that's where all of our strategies are located and housed. I'm going to take you there in a minute, kind of like on a virtual field trip here. And we have 3 different sections so that everything is organized into. We have content sections, so if you're really interested in how to actually display your content or design your content in specific ways for online or blended courses, we have specific strategies that faculty members have utilized or instructional designers have utilized to really improve the outcomes in their course. We also have ways of assessing students, so through various methods. Sometimes it's more informal assessment, sometimes it's more formal, so you're thinking about formative and summative assessments, or even considering things along the lines of something like how to utilize rubrics or how to utilize discussions, which is such a big part of our online courses when we want that student-to-student interaction. So some good tips in there. And last, that interaction piece of student-to-student, student-to-teacher, student-to-content interaction, and making sure that we are incorporating that in our best practices in our online courses. If you go to TOPR website, it is topr.online.ucf.edu. And so TOPR really is its own thing, but it is maintained by our editors here at the University of Central Florida. The 4 of us happen to be instructional designers, and I'll kind of showcase us a little bit later on just to make sure that you know who you can contact and you can have a friendly face if you have any questions related to TOPR. So we have our little welcome right here, and normally we have our major press releases. So whenever we have several new entries that have been posted and we've gone through this, We are posting them there for easy access for everyone, and we do send out promotions as well. Something that is really important to note is that TOPR is peer reviewed. So that is an excellent item for you as well if you're thinking about contributing to TOPR in any way. To note that it is a nice peer reviewed resource for you for your CV. So don't forget that. It doesn't just have to be for how to utilize it on the faculty's end and how to improve the courses, but maybe perhaps even for your research or scholarly interest on your own as well. So you will notice that there is a mailing list. You'll also notice that there is a search here. So let's say you were interested in a particular topic, perhaps discussions. You could just type in discussions or different approaches here that you were interested in and go ahead and search there. We do make sure that all of our strategies are tagged. And so the search is working off of those tags to ensure that we are giving you the best resources possible that are matching your search. You can also search by type. Remember I told you that there were three types of strategies. So you can click on content and it could bring you to all of our strategies that are within our content area. So, and you'll also notice there's different tags here just to help you to understand what that particular strategy is referencing. And there's a description here as well. Go back. So you can utilize those just as a general. Or we also have what I think is kind of cool here is a cloud based off of our tags for our strategies. So let's say that a certain tag has been utilized in TOPR many, many times. You'll notice that those tags take a little bit of a bigger font and a bigger space on the page here, just to ensure that they're catching your eye. We have a lot of things related to, for instance, discussion, interaction, assessments, and so on. So that is another way that you can explore TOPR. Pedagogical practices on the page, again, has some featured items, but you can see it again by our types of strategies. If you wanted to contribute to TOPR, so you wanted to submit your own strategy, and we have a lot of times people work together too, so maybe instructional designers and faculty work together to come up with a solution for the course, and they kind of unite to write strategies as well. So this is a way that this is where you would go to contribute. We actually operate that through STARS, and Shelly will showcase that a little bit in more detail later on. And we also try to feature our authors. So every author has their own author page. So perhaps you really like a piece by a specific author, you could go here and kind of get their information, see what they're about, maybe contact them. So we just have just different, like for instance, if you could click on a faculty member's name, and it would give you their image and a little bit about them, just to try to make sure that everybody here is getting their features. I just wanted to make sure we mentioned that we are a Creative Commons Attribution non-commercial share alike license. So we do encourage sharing as long, with proper attribution for the authors. And we have our editorial board. So that's the four of us. So we have Amy Denoyles is our managing editor. Shelly Wyatt is our communication editor. This is myself, Alyssa Albrecht. I am your content editor, and Sue Beth is our call for submissions editor. So we are here. We are easily Googleable. If you needed to search for us, type our names in, type UCF in, and you were able to get our emails. Shelly also put our emails into the chat earlier. So, well, Shelly, it's time then to switch it on over to you.
Fantastic. Getting to the main points that kind of I want to share with you this afternoon is that the TOPR is a really great resource for faculty and instructional designers at this particular time because of current challenges involved in transitioning to remote learning. Sharing TOPR by using TOPR, faculty and instructional designers who are often put on the spot when it comes to helping faculty come up with new strategies for very particular circumstances, can find strategies, can find inspiration in going to TOPR and seeing what other creative faculty have been able to do in their online and mixed mode courses. Sometimes mixed mode gets kind of put off to the side, but for many faculty right now they're moving not just on-site classes, but mixed mode classes as well online, and that can be just about as challenging. So between now and the end of the year, many more faculty may be called upon to move their face-to-face or mixed mode classes online, and TOPR, again, is really a great resource for that. It can also create faculty independence. The faculty can go to TOPR and search the audience for TOPR is faculty, as well, but also, of course, instructional designers. But really, it's by faculty for faculty. And so that it can be a great source of inspiration. And it allows faculty to, or it can facilitate faculty to incorporate more creativity into their on-site, online mixed mode, as well as on-site. We kind of think of, again, TOPR as being, for online courses, but many of these strategies are adaptable to any modality. So again, just another way to use TOPR. In our situation, UCF, we encourage faculty to use Canvas, which is our LMS, to use Canvas. And fortunately, many of our faculty are, even faculty who teach on-site only or teach limited mixed mode courses, they've got a grasp of Canvas, which has been really helpful for us. But then it's great that for many faculty who use LMSs, even if it's just for a syllabus or a grade book, that they already know some of the basics. And many of the strategies in TOPR can be adaptable or can be used by faculty who aren't necessarily super experienced in teaching online. What I thought we would do is just take a quick peek at a few of the strategies that I thought would be especially interesting to everybody, and are great examples of the types of strategies that TOPR has to offer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing this PowerPoint slide, and I'm going to pop over to my web browser. So the first example from TOPR that I wanted to share is discussions for large classes. And this is something that comes up, at least with my faculty, it comes up on a fairly regular basis. I know I have some faculty who teach classes with hundreds of students, and they are always looking for ways to increase interaction without necessarily having a single discussion where there's 600 students in it and they can't possibly respond to 600 students. And so this particular one is popular, discussions, large classes. So this I think is a really solid example because it gives a really great detailed description of kind of what the strategy is and what it entails. It identifies the faculty member right in the text, which is nice. And then we have some background, and we also have a description of kind of how to implement it. And then we also have more on managing descriptions in the gradebook, managing discussions rather, in the gradebook. A link to some of the artifacts. Some TOPR strategies have more artifacts than others, and some are embedded right in the site or right in the entry. This particular strategy does have artifacts, obviously, but if you click on them, they're not popping up at the moment. Again, this may be one of the issues that we're having with the technology right now. So if you find a strategy where there's a link that's not working, please notify us and we will see what we can do to get that artifact to you. We also, this particular author also links to the scholarly references, and this is a particularly robust one. And then we actually also give you the citation for attribution. So this is, again, particularly, I think, robust example of strategy for a common challenge. Another strategy that I wanted to show is focusing on rubrics, and particularly using standards-based rubrics to facilitate online peer assessment, response, and reflection. And this particular entry is written by a faculty in healthcare education. What she does is she breaks up the assessment into several parts. And not only do we have student-to-student interaction, but we have kind of a formative assessment, as well as then the faculty member also providing feedback at the end. So again, great entry, great description, examples of some of the feedback. Every single part of this strategy is described. And we have our references, which again, it's robust. Our best TOPR strategies are ones that are based in the research. And also we have our citation here. So that's another really good example of a robust TOPR strategy. For a common problem, particularly for online, how do we create assessment that is meaningful to students when we don't get to give them that face-to-face feedback that we would like to give if we were in an on-site class? But instead, this is actually more robust than you would probably give in an on-site class. Another example is using student-created blogs as a progressive formative assessment in an online STEM course. And this is particularly interesting because this faculty member is teaching biology, and the students have to design their own animal. So it is a course in not just biology, but the students have to learn the different parts of the body, different parts of the different systems in the body. And so it's a very creative way that students can design their own animal and then kind of build it as they go through the course. So really, really interesting, really creative. And then the last one that I'm going to show is the last example is going to be deliver content using short, focused instructional videos. Because one of the three categories of entries that we have is content. How do I deliver content to students in an engaging, interesting way that supports learning? And so we do that category is, I think, one of our most interesting of the three, although I have to say they're all interesting. But this one, I think, is a great example of a reasonably short strategy that can be really useful for faculty right now for relatively easy ways to move their content online. And so this particular entry provides a really nice description of the strategy, and you can actually see one of his examples. There's multiple examples, which is great. And then we have a link to the scholarly references as well as a citation. So this is, straightforward, a little bit of a simpler strategy, one that's very powerful as well. For the submission process, I know Alyssa mentioned this a couple minutes ago, but the submission process for TOPR is actually conducted through the Showcase of Text, Archives, Research, and Scholarship, known as STARS. And our new process started in the previous year is one that features a blind peer review. So when TOPR submissions are received, they're received through the STARS site, which I'm going to show you in just a second. And they are distributed to peer reviewers, and you can receive feedback if there is any through the editorial team. And as you work your way through the process, and what's nice about the STARS process is there are auto-generated update communications. So you really do hear from us at each stage of the process as your submission is reviewed and goes back to you for potential revision, and then it goes through the publication or posting process. Unfortunately, because of current conditions with COVID-19, we are delaying our fall call for submissions. So that will be delayed to spring 2021. But we'll still have it, but it's just delayed a little bit. This is our STARS submission form. I believe you could just go to the STARS site, search for TOPR, it should pop up. So there's a little description of TOPR here, and also we have our strategy entry template. So right here on the entry site is a template to help you when you submit your entry, which I think is really one of the great things about using the STARS site. And then you simply submit it along with any artifact that you might have. And we also have instructions here to help you, the author submission steps. So it's really, really a powerful site, and we're really delighted to be able to offer this new feature to our authors. And as Alyssa already showed this to you, so I won't go through it again. Thank you. Thank you so much. So finally, and again, I know Alyssa touched on this a few minutes ago, but strong TOPR entries have a title, and a title that does kind of describe what the entry is about, what the strategy is about. a description of the strategy and how it's useful, an example of how the strategy was applied in your course, provide examples or artifacts of the strategy. And this can be images, it can be PDFs, it can be video links, and provide scholarly references. So that's kind of what makes up a great topper entry, great topper strategy. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn this back over to my colleague Alyssa, who's going to do our wrap up.
So I did want to mention something that Shelly stated. She said how you could get to the STARS website for submissions. We also have a link to that STARS Topper website on our Topper website. So under the contribution section, if you click there, they will mention STARS, and there will be a link there that can take you to STARS in case you were looking at that. And as far as our strong topper entry section, just so you know that this is what we utilize within our peer review system for our rubric. So if you're looking to see how we are judging what a strong entry is, this is certainly directly from what our peer reviewers are using. To wrap up, Topper is the teaching online pedagogical repository. It has been maintained by University of Central Florida, but certainly it is a joining of institutions and higher education from all over the world. So we have people who have published from all different types of higher ed positions and from all different types of institutions, whether they're colleges or big universities. Certainly we are open to all, as long as we are looking at best practices for online or blended education. We can use it as instructional designers just to help support our faculty. We can utilize it to share great ideas, or our faculty can utilize it to create some independence there. If we show them Topper and say, this is a great resource for you as you're creating ideas, they can explore Topper on their own as they're trying to determine what's the best use of creating online labs in this new remote work that we're doing. So we do have that call for submissions once a year. We are slightly delaying it right now due to COVID and everything that's happening right now with the pandemic. We're trying to ensure that all of our faculty are being supported in the best ways possible, but you can feel free to submit. That way, if you have it ready, feel free to do so. You can also collaborate with other faculty members or with other instructional designers or whoever at your institution that you think would be a good fit to share this strategy that you've utilized. And remember that we are peer reviewed, so that if you decide to actually be a contributor for Topper, that's a nice little feather in your cap for your CV as well.